I think it's been a while since we stumbled into a Sam Raimi movie. Yeah, and yeah, but I decided to this week watch the latest Sam Raimi film. That was the movie that I was intended to watch until the Markiplier movie Iron Lung came by. And so I decided to this one keep it on hold, but I still was kind of like interested in all that stuff. I don't think I did talk about Sam Raimi itself, although I do remember that I think I talked about him maybe on the Doctor Strange multiverse movie, but I don't remember much about what I did that time. Um, but I do remember talking a little bit about him about when the Evil Dead movies came and the new ones that I think doesn't have a name or something like that. I think I did said that I do have a certain respect to Sam Raimi as a director. I mean, he brought out the Evil Dead movies, which I really like. I am kind of forgiving actually on the Spider-Man movies. I like the first one. One of the few ones that I like the first one more than the second one, and of course, but of course, Sam Raimi also have his fails, like for example that piece of garbage named Spider-Man 3. The last time I really got into a horror movie that he basically made was that movie from many years ago called Drag Me to Hell, which this is one of those movies that I did like the concept. I did love what it did. It involved it's also one of those movies in which it's gonna be so hard to watch, mostly because it involved cruelty with a kitten. But in the essence, I still did like Drag Me to Hell. I remember that when I watched that movie on the movie theater, when the ending came, I was like, whoa. It wasn't exactly kind of like the happiest ending that there is. Actually, the ending of Drag Me to Hell is downright evil, but not in a way that I really did like how it was kind of like executed. But now we got this one called Send Help, which, looking at the trailer, it really looked like it had all the things that you're gonna expect from a Sam Raimi movie. The dark humor, the over the top kind of situations. They're gonna be over the top violence. They're gonna have this dark humor that he kind of trained himself with the Evil Dead, and of course Drag Me to Hell. In a way, I prefer Sam Raimi when he works in these kind of movies instead of going through, the Marvel movies like he did with the Spider-Man movies and Doctor Strange. So there's a kind of like a certain level of respect that I had with those. So Send Hell is gonna be the combination between Lord of the Flies and The Office. Now that I watch it, I gotta say that I think I did like the Markiplier movie better compared to Send Help, but I'm not gonna deny that there are some positives that I can say about Send Help. There are some moments that I really kind of expected the direction that it was going to be, but I get it. The movie is not supposed to be, taken too seriously. But it still felt a little bit kind of like a cautionary tale about the nature of humans on trying their ambitions of becoming the very best. But of course it's almost like the negative aspect of the go-getter kind of scenario, which I'll get to that by the way. So I'll try to keep this vlog a little bit short, but not kind of like in a bite-sized kind of scenario, because there's not exactly too much of that I could say about in this movie. But here goes. So the movie plot is about this woman named Linda. She's played by the actress named Rachel McAdams. She's this very nerdy, ungrooming, socially awkward to the extreme kind of woman who she was working in an office for 7 years, but everybody treats her like dirt because, well, she's not exactly a people person, and every people, she gets taken advantage in the terms that they steal her credit and all this stuff, but she kind of like yeah, okay, that kind of woman, and she's kind of like the most socially awkward kind of person that you could imagine. And of course, also she's a big fan of Survivor reality films, or reality TV, I mean. And of course, then she has this. She has basically this how can I say, antagonistic relationship with her boss, a guy named, what was it, Bradley? He's played by Dylan O'Brien. I know I'm bad at this. I already say that I'm bad at remembering names sometimes. He's pretty much like the douchey boss that he's obsessive compulsive. He's kind of like this modern people's guy, but unfortunately he treats her like dirt and all this stuff, and so and of course they began to clash when he gave the promotion to another sleazy guy instead of her, in which because the sleazy guy he earned his promotion by only being on office for 6 months, but she just busted her ass for 7 years. So the guy's like, you know what? You're not a people's person. Look at how you look, how you smell like tuna fish because you hide a tuna sandwich and everyone's smelling. So this is not something professional that you should do. So let's have this. I'm gonna reconsider if you accompany me to making this kind of like a business travel. Bangladesh, I think it was called. So they go to this private jet with his friends and all this stuff, and they tease her because she was auditioning to go into those survival reality television. Until out of nowhere, the plane malfunctions and it crash lands in the middle of nowhere in the ocean. And of course, Linda and Bradley are the only ones who survive, and this is where things kind of clash because Linda has great knowledge and great skills on survival, but Bradley is not, and this is where these two personality kind of clashes, and of course it might kind of turn into this Castaway, Laguna Beach kind of thing, kind of also more. I did say that I compare it to Lord of the Flies. But things get a little bit more disturbing. That's the best way I can say it. So let's, to put it bluntly, and I don't care if I might ruin expectations, let's say that Linda is someone who shouldn't be out of society. She is a woman that should be locked up on a psych ward. That is the thing that I will say. But to go into details, I'll go with at least with the two characters that are mostly in it. Like I say, Rachel McAdams. I gotta say that she really nails the character about first starting out, like this socially awkward kind of person, but. Here's the thing: the movie kind of wanted us to play that we gotta feel sorry for her because, well, granted, she was working for this company and not taking kind of like good credit for kind of like 7 years. But here's the problem with her: at the beginning of the movie, she's really unlikable, and it still goes on during the rest of the movie like that. And she comes from a very unlikable person, and the movie degrades to kind of like becoming the worst person. I'll say it right now. She is immediately the villain of the movie. The villain of the movie. It's one of those movies in which you can see the protagonist turning into a worse and worse and worse person, and you might say that they push her to the point of into the brink. But I mean, you can't blame I mean all the other people for teasing her and all this stuff because, well, at the end of it, she really is. She wasn't exactly kind of like the people's person, and she's you really notice that she is the kind of person that it's one of those person that is wanting the attention, wanting to showcase that I'm the best. I can do all of it, and nobody noticed me. Pay attention to me, all this stuff, and this socially awkwardness. It even makes the coworker very awkward, and of course it's almost like no surprise as that why she didn't get the promotion, because it's like it's the hard truth that you are not a people's person. She basically always she didn't look kind of like groomed or anything, because honestly when you go, I know that this is kind of like corporate thing, but you have to look groomed, you have to look nice and groomy in order to make a kind of like a connection with people, or you can't get promotion willy-nilly. And unfortunately, well, it's also kind of like the hard real life that sometimes people get promotions early because they get good connections with with the other people. But yeah, that's kind of like the problem with the nepo babies here and there. I'll get to that, by the way. But of course, she does find out that she has survival skills. She basically kind of become the Tommy. The Robinson Crusoe of the whole thing, even in kind of like a very, very exaggerated way. I mean, to the point that in minutes she can build kind of like huts, traps, hammocks, with just things from what was it? From their jungle materials. And I mean, not even the kids from Lord of the Flies had an easy time, making all these stuff. They barely could make a shelter, but she makes hammocks and food and all that stuff. It's kind of like an exaggerated way. It's almost like it turned into, she knows how to Animal Crossing her way out of it. And of course, the more you kind of begin to go with her, you're gonna see that she's always kind of like being an evil person, and also she has this demons she makes her one of the most disturbing villains in this movie, especially when she comments about her past. And boy, that this is villainous, it's evil, this woman. But you know what? That doesn't mean that I'm gonna cut her. I'm gonna cut slack to the other guy, Dylan O'Brien. He plays again the boss, playing Bradley. Let's say that he's also a douchebag. Well, although he is kind of like one of those douchebags that is at least has some reason behind it, because honestly, as asshole-ish that this guy is, when he talks about how things they should be done, that he has to make the dark decisions, you can't help but to kind of agree, because he's right. He's right, even though most of the time he's right, but not all the time, because he actually is also the typical boss asshole nepo baby, because he made it to the top because he's taken over after his father passed away. And the funny thing is that if you look closely in, I think in one of the pictures that it was almost like a blink and you'll miss. His father is none other than Bruce Campbell. So you know that it is a Sam Raimi staple that you're gonna have to put Bruce Campbell somewhere. But either way, yeah, this guy, well, he doesn't he doesn't take his coworkers lightly, especially our main character. I mean, he's always with with his group of friends. He teases her and all this stuff, and of course he acts kind of a little bit high and mighty when he gets stranded, and of course that he can't do much because he's injured. But unfortunately, this is where he unfortunately he lost control over his Linda, and well. And honestly, he is kind of like the only character that actually kind of shows a certain a certain growth, because after he tries to make after being suffering of because of his inexperience, that all the things that you gradually kind of begin to feel bad for him, even though there's a moment in which you say that, oh, you asshole and all this stuff. There's kind of like a moment in which he also gets kind of desperate, and he begins to act again like an asshole. But you can't blame him, especially because if you stay with Linda at the kind of like 24/7, and then you realize kind of like the what she might be capable of, I will say, fuck this. I'm out of here. I will prefer to swim and being eaten by the shark compared to staying a minute with her. And you know that the movie is basically desperately trying to take her side. And although I don't think I don't really think about it now, that it's not. I don't think that's kind of like quite the story. I did see even manga that basically is all about the villains torturing kind of like another guy who seemingly is kind of like the lesser evil, but then kind of the our supposed hero turning into the villain. But you know what? It kind of comes to a point in which the guy, you kind of feel bad for him despite his douchebaggery, especially because the guy even has a fiance, and the fiance is, while a little bit materialistic, she's kind of like the most innocent of all the characters. And well, let's say that this fiance, if you know these kind of stories, you know where it goes. And this is, let's say that it kind of turns into a moment of no return in it. So yeah, but still, and in acting wise, these two really nail up this character, that they are very over the top, very sometimes they kind of crack a joke here and there. But Rachel McAdams, she really comes up giving her one of the most chilling performances I have seen in a while from an actress. But and honestly, right now she's probably is topping one of the best villains of this year. We'll see what comes up during the rest of the year. But right now she's topping as a great villain. Villain protagonist, I will call it. Well, cinematography wise, I'll say that it's well shot. I'll say it is clear. The pictures are clear. The cinematography is clear. And you're gonna, in terms of scares and all this stuff, you're gonna get a few kind of like jump scares here and there. But thankfully, it's not very abused. I think you can only tell like it's 2 or 3, and honestly, they're also well executed, because it's not like it's kind of doing. Saying that, hey, I want to do it because of this. No, it really used to explore the characteristics of a certain characters. Sorry, I got a little bit of dirt in my eyes. Dirt in my eyes. And yeah, it's well shot. Although I do admit that there are some moments in which you're gonna notice some few noticeable CGI. Most notably, when I notice is when there's a scene in which Linda has to hunt a boar, and the boar, you can tell that it is CGI, but at least it was made up that this movie has a lot of blood. Yeah, they have blood. They have all these nasty body horror moments about with people getting injured or something like that. If you are used to, the Evil Dead and Drag Me to Hell kind of nasty, gross out horror, you're gonna get it. Like, for example, that Sam Raimi, when it's about blood, gore, and all that stuff, he really, really likes to have people getting drenched with bloody juices in their face. Sometimes even to the point that it's nasty. Like, there's even a puke scene that it goes like kind of like 30 minutes and still it's kind of like in your face, like or something like that. Sam Raimi is he pretty much kind of likes doing that. That, for example, if you remember in Drag Me to Hell, there's kind of like 2 or 3 scenes in which the protagonist kind of gets kind of like body lucas on the character's mouth or something like that. That's again is a staple of the Sam Raimi type of cinematography when it's about scares, and of course. Just like the Evil Dead, is filled, like I said, with those dark humor in which the humor is mostly is in a bit of the mean spiritedness of some, but kind of like a lighthearted, spirited, or more kind of like a sarcastic kind of attitude in it. Like, for example, we see. The premise of the movie is about two unlikable people pitting each other in an island, and well, basically it turns into Lord of the Flies, but that also kind of becomes to this. Basically, it kind of leads a little bit into what the story feels like, and it's almost like a cautionary tale about how people are pit into each other, and also it becomes kind of like the movie exploring the nature of dominion, let's say, in which what do you get when you have a character who is pretty much unhinged and you put it in a natural environment, but compared to the corporate ladder, in which basically the hierarchy is basically the hierarchy of the office is how you treat your employees, how you relate to your employees, how relate to the people that are the leads and all this stuff. That is the kind of thing which is basically more different than the hierarchy when you go on nature. In nature, where the biggest rule when you are in nature is the strongest survives, the devil dies. It's a dog eat dog world. It's a dog eat dog world. You always strive to be number one. And there's some aspect that it can also be translated into the city. But man, when you do these things into the city, basically, well, it's just murder. It's just murder and all this stuff. This is where I go into where the evilness of Linda is, because the movie is called Send Help. This is what I almost forgot to tell you, is that the movie even showcases that Linda could have saved this guy anytime. It even shows in the trailer. She had all the opportunity to save the guy, to call for help. The opportunity was there, but because of her spite, because of her wanting to be the number one, because of her pettiness on having revenge. Well, okay, not exactly pettiness. I mean, at least a slap in the face, or maybe she should have just quit and got another job. But then you see kind of like that. But the thing is that this movie could have been solved, but she decides not to. She decides to torture the guy, and in a way, the movie basically turns into misery. Uh, and so, you know what? Now that I think about it, this is the reason why Rachel McAdams' acting really kind of scared me, because she kind of reminded me of Kathy Bates in Misery. So, so that's pretty much this is. This is Lord of the Flies meets Misery. It's misery, but still, it kind of also goes with the theme again, that about the nature of dominance, as well as when people are pushed through much, or when they get a little bit too ambitious, or also again the nature of survival. Like I said, when you are in nature, it's not exactly cozy and all this stuff. You have to survive, and the one that has the best survival skill is basically the one that wins. And this, of course, really leads to the really shocking ending that is, I'll say that the ending is pure evil, I'll say. I'm not saying that, in a bad thing, but for the sake of the narrative, yes, the ending is one of the most evil endings you could ever get. You get a bad, I'm not gonna go describe how it is, but that ending, wow! I saw it coming. I saw coming, that ending, but the way it was executed, I mean, you can say whatever you want, but man, that I will say that this is one of those other cases in which a horror movie ends like, whoa, because my God. But again, even though I said this, and considering the nature of the movie, I'm not saying that I'm not saying the term evil, and saying that that makes it a bad movie. No, I'm not saying that, because a lot of the things as a movie, it does work well. Even as a story, you take it as a cautionary tale, it works well. If you're a Sam Raimi movie, this one, it does its job. It does really well. I gotta say. I already kind of give you a little bit kind of like the pros and cons about this movie. And even though personally I like Iron Lung better, and probably I might say that in the Sam Raimi lineup of movies, I still love the Evil Dead movie. Then probably I do, despite that kind of like really mean moment in Drag Me to Hell. I kind of prefer Drag Me to Hell more than Send Help. But I can see those two in almost in the same boat of argument of which is best, of which one was better. So I will say Send Help is a good movie, especially if you are a Sam Raimi fan. So there's no need for help to notice that this was a watchable movie, at least.